My name's Frances Cornford. I'm with the Keep Our St Helier Hospital campaign, and I'm here today outside a meeting of the South West London Clinical Commissioning Groups, collaborative commissioning groups, because they are making decisions about the 5-year plan, the future of healthcare in South West London, and we believe that they're not consulting the public properly. We believe that they are going along with swinging government cuts to the National Health Service and cutting services here accordingly. And we don't think they're being open about what's happening. We're particularly concerned about the effects on St Helier Hospital, which is a very well-performing hospital in Sutton. But in a previous plan, they were talking about closing its accident and emergency and its maternity services, and we're still concerned about what will happen to those. This meeting is what passes for public participation and public engagement in the plans, and the slogan of this government is "No decision about me without me." But in fact, this meeting is mostly consulting Health Watch, which is a government body which has been set up. And in our experience, very few of the public actually know what's been going on. They're not being consulted. And we know that the clinical commissioning groups in South West London have to make £370 million worth of cuts across South West London. So we think inevitably that's going to affect services. Well, our experience of going to previous meetings is that there isn't a genuine discussion about what's needed, that they're not open about the cuts that they're going to have to make, they're not open about the finances. When they do have to make changes, they say that it's because of clinical need, when it's not, and that they're not open about a creeping privatisation agenda that they've got. So I think they will stage manage the meeting, and they will give people very limited sets of options, pretend to consult them, and then go ahead with what they're doing anyway, but be able to say that they consulted the public and they've engaged the public when they haven't really. Well, what we want to do is ask them some hard questions, which is such as how many of their plans are determined by finances and not by clinical need. We've got concerns, for instance, the Public Accounts Committee has just come out to say that they believe that clinical commissioning groups do not have the expertise or the money to properly monitor private contracts. And that's just been proved in Croydon here itself, where the Urgent Care Centre, the CCG here, found it was giving good care. The Care Quality Commission found that the care was very bad, they had multiple problems with it, that they were using untrained receptionists to decide whether people should go to the accident and emergency. And so that's proof, if you like. Clinical commission groups, I mean, they're being starved of funds themselves, but they're not really up to the job. And what they are doing is they're doing the government's dirty work. The government is making huge cuts to the NHS. It's got a privatisation agenda, and they're using the clinical commissioning groups to run down the services. But I think the first thing is the repeal of the Health and Social Care Act, which was passed in 2012, and that removes the duty of the Secretary of State to provide a national health service at all. Not many people realise that. So that would be a first step. And the second step is a proper discussion about the funding of the NHS with the public. Undoubtedly it needs more funding, undoubtedly that's a problem. But you have to ask people, do you want a private health service or do you want a national health service? And how are we going to afford it? And instead of having that discussion with the public, they're just doing it by stealth, and that's not acceptable. We hope, we're also members of patient participation groups. We're going to go into the meeting and make our points. I don't know that it will, because I think they've probably made up their minds already, and this is just a fig leaf to allow them to do what they want.